A single sodium lamp flickered in the corridor outside Ward 3B, its amber glow blinking across the polished linoleum like a faulty heartbeat. Ella Nwosu, cheeks still flushed from the agony of childbirth, lay propped against stiff hospital pillows. Her newborn son, skin velvety brown, eyes shut tight in innocent exhaustion, was swaddled against her chest, rising and falling with every trembling breath she took. Across the room, a bouquet of wilted roses sagged in a cheap glass vase. They were Mark's, purchased on the way in, an afterthought, petals already browning at the tips. Ella tried to remember the warmth with which he'd once surprised her on random Tuesday afternoons, the laughter, the just-because kisses, the way he'd spun her beneath half-broken fairy lights back in their university dorm. That Mark was gone. The only sound now was the shuffle of his leather shoes on tile as Mark Adiemi paced, refusing to meet her gaze. In his right hand, a manila envelope. In his left, his phone, screen glowing with an unanswered call from unknown. Mark? Her voice cracked like thin glass. Come sit. Hold your son. He finally turned, distant eyes reflecting the vicious glow of a lifetime of excuses. He didn't sit. Instead, the envelope landed on the rolling tray beside her water jug with a dull thud. She flinched as its corner grazed the steel. Ella, what's that? Mark, clears throat, voice flat, papers. It's best we make things official. Ella, official? Mark, I've been offered a position in Dubai. Whole new market, 6-figure salary. I leave Sunday. Ella, our child is. Mark, a responsibility I can't carry right now. The words, venomous yet eerily calm, coiled around her lungs until breathing felt impossible. Her fingers dug into the baby's blanket to anchor herself to reality. Outside, a crack of thunder rolled over Lagos Island, as if the wet season had waited for this moment to mourn alongside her. Mark pocketed his phone, smoothed the collar of his sky-blue Oxford shirt, the same one he'd worn on their wedding day, and marched toward the door. Ella, voice barely louder than rain, tell me this isn't goodbye. Mark, it's a new beginning. For both of us. He didn't turn back, didn't kiss his son, didn't even close the door gently. The hushed click sounded louder than any slammed exit Ella had heard in her life. Silence flooded the ward. It tasted metallic, like the scent of freshly drawn blood. Ella pressed her lips to her son's crown, tears rolling down to dampen his soft curls. And there, under jaundiced hospital light, clutching divorce papers that smelled of stale printer ink, she whispered a promise, little one, we will rise. He will regret the moment he walked away. 2 years earlier, memory painted a very different picture, the campus quad at Obafemi Awolowo University, music floating from ancient speakers, the air thick with yam pepper stew drifting from a nearby cafeteria. Ella, then Ella Ease, a final-year fine arts student, had just slapped a fresh coat of cobalt across her canvas when Mark collided into her world. Literally. He had been sprinting, soccer ball under one arm, earbuds blaring Afrofusion. His shoulder knocked her easel sideways, sending the half-finished portrait of Fela Kuti toppling into muddy grass. Mark, panting, horrified, oh, Kai. I'm so sorry. Ella, wiping paint-splattered jeans, half amused, half furious, that canvas took me weeks. Mark, I'll buy you a new one, no, two, anything. Let me help. His grin, disarming and boyish, melted irritation into laughter. He spent the afternoon rescuing her painting, carefully dabbing moisture with his jersey, offering endless apologies that somehow turned into flirtatious banter. By sunset, they were sitting on cracked concrete steps sharing puff-puff from a grease-stained paper bag, debating whether love was an art or a science. Mark quoted Odumagwu Ojukwu, Ella countered with Maya Angelou. They traded dreams, he'd launch a real estate empire, she'd open a community gallery for underprivileged kids. Beneath the gold wash of evening, promises were sketched in stardust. Fast forward, moonlit walks, rooftop dance parties, whispered I love yous behind lecture halls. Yet, between their laughter, faint cracks formed, like fissures in a porcelain vase, missed calls Mark wouldn't explain, credit card statements with charges at upscale lounges Ella had never visited, hushed phone conversations that died whenever she entered the room. One chilly harmattan evening, Ella found him on their apartment balcony, eyes glossy, phone pressed tight to his ear. "Ella, baby, who is Amira? She keeps calling." Mark, startled, forcing a smile, "Client. Big deal brewing." "Don't worry, sweetheart." "Ella, you're sure?" Mark, "Absolutely. Trust me." Trust, Ella convinced herself, was the brushstroke that held their portrait together. She ignored the icy gut twist the name Amira triggered. She ignored the nights he came home reeking of perfume that wasn't hers. Love, she believed, was a kaleidoscope, you just needed the right angle to see its beauty. But the angle kept shifting, and the kaleidoscope began to fracture. The moment Ella realized how far she'd drifted from herself came one quiet dawn. She was painting Mark's portrait, sharp cheekbones, confident smile, yet every attempt fell flat. The eyes wouldn't sparkle, the lips curved too stiff. That's when she knew, the man on canvas was an illusion she no longer recognized. And still, she told herself everything was fine, right up until the day those illusions ruptured in the sterile glare of Ward 3B. Days after Mark's departure, Ella returned home, a modest two-bedroom flat where wedding photos lined the hallway like mocking ghosts. Staring at them now felt like reading love letters signed by strangers. She brewed zobo tea while the baby, whom she'd named Zion, slept in a second-hand bassinet. Steam swirled over the mug, curling into thought clouds that replayed every overlooked sign. 1. Mark's Night Owls Anonymous. He'd started calling himself a night owl, claiming real estate negotiations only happened over midnight whiskey and 6 lounges. Ella had laughed it off, painting alone past 2 a.m. to match his hours. She never questioned the lipstick on his collar because the shade resembled a smudge of her own red paint, so she convinced herself. 2. The disappearing bank alerts. Joint account funds dipping below safe levels. Mark said he was reinvesting. She kept silent, believing synergy meant shared risk. 3. Random gifts, random guilt. When Mark missed her birthday dinner, he returned at dawn with a diamond bracelet. Deals ran late, he'd said, eyes darting. She kissed him instead of asking for the truth. Now, in this too-quiet kitchen, Ella finally voiced what fear had swallowed. Ella, soft, resolute love is not the art of erasing yourself. She pulled wedding photos off the wall, 1, 2, 3, placing them face down until only nail holes stared back. Zion stirred, releasing a sleepy coo. Ella scooped him up, breathing his baby shampoo scent, and walked to her cramped studio corner. Dust-coated canvases like neglect's fingerprint. She selected a fresh one, pried open a jar of raw umber, and painted a single bold streak, messy, uncontrolled, alive. Zion blinked, awe blossoming in his dark eyes. Ella, watch, my love. Mommy's turning pain into purpose. Across town, Mark reclined in a penthouse he'd financed through questionable investors. He scrolled through Instagram, landing on Ella's new account at Art of Rising, created that very afternoon. Only one post so far, a photo of her streaked canvas captioned "First brushstroke to freedom." It had 12 likes, nothing viral, but something about the caption clawed at Mark's chest. He tossed the phone aside. Why did he care? He'd chosen ambition over family, told himself he'd outgrown domestic life. Yet he pictured Zion's tiny fingers and wondered if they still resembled his. Focus, he scolded himself, turning back to spreadsheets and a message from Amira, the client who was also, inconveniently, a lover. Business first, regret later. The rainy season pummeled Lekki for days. Roofs rattled, gutters overflowed, streets became rivers reflecting neon billboards. Inside her apartment, Ella juggled motherhood and survival, warming formula bottles while sketching silhouettes onto scrap paper, rocking Zion with one hand and answering freelance illustration emails with the other. Sleep arrived in 40-minute fragments, always punctured by thunder or baby cries. On night 4, lights snapped off, power outage. Candles cast trembling halos across peeling walls. Ella cradled Zion, singing an old Igbo lullaby her mother used to hum. Her phone buzzed. Unknown caller. She let it ring out. Then a message arrived. Mark, need to see Zion. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. Cold. Commanding. No, how are you? No apology. Ella typed, erased, typed again. Ella, text Zion and I aren't cardio equipment you drop by to use. Mark, he's my son too. Ella, you abdicated that title the moment you left us in that ward. Mark, keep tomorrow free. She tossed the phone onto the couch. Rage vibrated in her bones. Yet beneath it lurked fear. Could he legally take Zion? She hadn't even hired a lawyer. The divorce papers lay unsigned in a kitchen drawer, as heavy as anvils. Thunder cracked, candlelight quivered. She whispered to Zion, I won't let him break us, baby. The infant gazed up, eyes reflecting flame like tiny galaxies, and gurgled as if in agreement. At 9:59 a.m. sharp, knocks echoed through the apartment. Ella, wearing an oversized Ankara robe spattered with paint and baby formula, took a steadying breath and opened the door. Mark cut a striking figure, tailored charcoal suit, pocket square, reins still glistening in his hair. He held a plush giraffe toy, price tag dangling. Guilt accessorized him poorly. Inside, tension thickened. Mark's gaze swept the living room, canvases propped against furniture, diaper packs stacked like architectural columns, a drying line strung with tiny clothes. Mark, you look well. Ella, arms folded, get to the point. Mark, I'm reorganizing my life. I want shared custody. Ella, funny, you can't share what you abandoned. Mark, I made mistakes. Ella, mistakes forget anniversaries. You served divorce papers before our son's first cry. Zion, sensing unfamiliar energy, whimpered from his playmat. Mark crouched, arm outstretched. Mark, softly, hey, champ. Zion recoiled, bottom lip quivering. Ella scooped him up, pressing his cheek to her shoulder. Mark, straightening, voice hardening, I have rights. Ella, rights require responsibility. Mark, courts won't deny me. Ella, we'll see. She gestured toward the door. Mark lingered, eyes darting to a vibrant canvas on the wall, a woman rising from stormy waves, hair aflame like sunrise. Mark, quiet, did you paint that? Ella, all of them. Mark, they're remarkable. For the first time, awe flickered in his expression, the acknowledgement of something he'd never nurtured. Ella's spine straightened, a strange calm washed over her. She opened the door wider, cool corridor air rushing in. Mark hesitated, pride warring with something softer, then stepped outside. Ella, evenly send any legal notices to my lawyer. Mark, you hired one? Ella, hiring too. Goodbye, Mark. Door shut. Lock clicked. Ella's legs trembled, but her heartbeat steadied. Zion gnawed on her robe tie, oblivious to the storm that had just passed. She kissed his forehead, breathing in warm baby scent mingled with acrylic and determination. Ella, whispering storms over, little king. Time to build our rainbow. She set him in his bouncer, clicked record on her phone, and began a live stream, brush in hand, canvas blank. Ella, to camera, voice clear today, I'm painting what survival looks like. Welcome to the rise. Within minutes, viewers trickled in, first dozens, then hundreds, drawn by the raw courage in her eyes. Each brushstroke told a story. Each comment cheered her on. The algorithm took notice, pushing her broadcast onto explore pages worldwide. Ella didn't see the numbers climb. She only felt Zion's steady breathing, the vibration of her own heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of reinvention. The morning after Mark's visit, sunlight streamed through half-drawn curtains, dust motes swirling like tiny galaxies. Ella's apartment smelled of instant coffee, baby powder, and wet acrylic. She balanced Zion on one hip while scrolling through last night's livestream stats with the other hand. 12,784 views. 4,233 comments. 7,019 new followers. A tremor of disbelief ran through her. She tapped open a DM. At Healing Hearts Mama, I watched you paint at 3 a.m. while nursing my twins. Your courage gave me breath. Don't stop. Ella's throat tightened. She set Zion on his playmat and whispered, "We're not alone, little king." She propped a fresh canvas on the easel, fingers tingling. Instead of cryptic strokes, she painted a full-figure portrait, a dark-skinned woman standing on cracked earth, arms flung wide, hair whipping in a cosmic wind. At her feet grew neon flowers, roots glowing electric blue. Ella titled it Phoenix Soil. Halfway through, the doorbell rang. On the mat lay a small package, no sender listed. Inside, a set of professional Winsor & Newton brushes and a note in looping script. For your Renaissance. A believer. Tears welled. Nobody had gifted her art supplies since university. She clutched the brushes like relics. Zion babbled approvingly, and she laughed, full-throated, unburdened. That afternoon she filmed a reel of the new brushes kissing the canvas, sped-up time-lapse stitched with Zion's giggles. She overlaid text, "Watch us bloom." By evening it hit 100K views. Ella stepped onto her balcony, Lego's humidity wrapping her like a shawl. Traffic hummed below, the horizon glowed peach against restless clouds. She breathed in the city's heartbeat, the same city that had witnessed her lowest moment, and felt its pulse syncing with hers. Ella, soft pledge to the skyline, I am new every sunrise. Behind her, Zion's laughter rang like church bells on Easter morning. Night draped itself across Lekki like velvet. Ella sat cross-legged on the living room floor, laptop balanced on a shoebox, ring light pointing at her newest creation, Fractured Glow. It depicted a heart made of stained glass, shards suspended midair, held together by golden threads. She hit go live. Ella, to camera tonight, we paint the places that hurt and call them holy. Comments raced. At Costa Diaspora, watching from Sao Paulo. Your art feels like breathing underwater and finding air. At Single Dad J, I legit cried on yesterday's stream. Thank you for being brave. Mid-broadcast, a notification pinged, ArtShare Africa wants to follow you. Ella's pulse spiked. ArtShare was the continent's largest online gallery hub. She masked her thrill and kept painting, voice steady but eyes shining. Suddenly the screen flooded with hearts. Viewers copied one another, spamming fire plus broken heart equals hibiscus to symbolize pain birthing beauty. The emoji wave felt like a hug from thousands of strangers. After the stream, Ella checked her email. Subject, feature opportunity, ArtShare Africa Live. Body, we've never seen engagement explode like that. Would you join our Saturday spotlight? We pay stipends and promote across our channels, 2M+. Let us know, space is limited. Ella clapped a hand over her mouth to stifle a scream that would wake Zion. Heart hammering, she typed yes before doubt could speak. She sank back against the couch, tears drying on her cheeks like war paint. For the first time since Ward 3B, she felt destiny tap her shoulder and whisper, "Keep going." Saturday arrived like festival drums. Ella set up her tiny studio corner with fresh flowers, a borrowed backdrop, and Zion napping in his bouncer just off camera. A Zoom link popped up, room open. Curator Efua Mensah, ArtShare Africa brown locks, cat-eye glasses, radiant smile. Ella. We're thrilled. Ella, trying to calm racing pulse. I'm honored. Truly. Efua, we usually ask artists to prep a 5-minute intro, but your following begged for 20. Laughs, ready? Ella, ready. Red live icon flashed. Viewership climbed, 10K, 25K, 50K. Efua guided the conversation, but Ella's raw honesty stole the show. Efua, your piece Phoenix Soil, what birthed it? Ella, abandonment. Growth. The day you realize ashes are just soil that's died and started over. Chat exploded with fire, fire, fire. Donations pinged every few seconds. Zion stirred, releasing a curious squeal audible on the mic. Instead of panicking, Ella scooped him up. Ella, meet my co-creator. Efua, the youngest exhibitor in art share history. Audience heart spurts ensue. After the spotlight, Efua muted herself and leaned in, eyes shining. Efua, we want a solo exhibition, physical and digital hybrid. Legos first, then Accra. You deserve the world to see. Ella, speechless, I need to breathe. Efua, laughing, breathe later, sign now. They set an initial date 6 months out, but marketing would start immediately. Efua promised mentorship, press connections, even childcare stipends during installation week. Ella ended the call, stared at Zion, and whispered, we did it. Tears blurred her vision until everything shimmered like wet paint. She felt centuries of silenced women cheering through her veins. She texted Mia, her college best friend, call me now. Within minutes, Mia's delighted shriek pierced the speaker. Mia, girl! I told you the world needed your art. Ella, now it's happening. For real. Mia, let's build. LLC, e-commerce, prints, workshops, you name it. They brainstormed till midnight, mapping revenue streams on sticky notes. Each plan ended the same, sustainable freedom. That night Ella slept soundly for the first time since childbirth, Zion's soft snores harmonizing with her dreams of gallery walls lit by spotlights, each canvas a proclamation of survival. Midweek, Ella's phone buzzed while she prepped baby cereal. Caller ID, Mama Adeyemi. Her stomach flipped. She wiped porridge from Zion's cheek and answered. Ella, good morning, Ma. Mama Adeyemi, voice fragile Nwani Oma, I've seen you on the internet. Your art, it moves even old bones. Ella, cautious thank you. Mama Adeyemi, I wronged you by staying silent when my son acted the fool. I beg to see my grandbaby, if you'll allow. Silence thickened. Ella pictured the gentle woman who'd once braided her hair before the wedding, whispering prayers of fruitfulness. She also remembered the voicemail last Christmas, Mark is under pressure, Biko be patient. Ella, Ma, I'm protecting Zion's peace. Mama Adeyemi, I understand. I'll wait until you're ready. Just know my door is open, and my heart, too. Tears stung. Grace felt both heavy and light, like rainfall after drought. Ella promised to think on it. She hung up and opened her DMs. Amid the hundreds of fan messages sat a new request at Mark_Adeyemi. Mark, congratulations on the exhibition. Proud of you. No apology. No remorse. Just a hollow compliment. She deleted it without opening. Some ghosts deserve no invitation back. That evening she painted silenced phone, open heart. In it, a woman sat in a blooming garden, her cell phone submerged in a glass of water, while vines sprouted from her chest. She captioned, some calls you sink so your soul can grow. It shattered her previous record in an hour. Miles away, Mark scrolled through anonymous comments dragging him. This the deadbeat ex? Bro served divorce papers in the maternity ward, cold. Public opinion had mutated into a dragon, breathing digital fire. Mark's jaw clenched. He tapped open a message thread with his lawyer, need options for reputation management and custody. The ghost wasn't resting, it was regrouping. A week later, Ella sat in Mia's new co-working loft, exposed brick, hanging philodendrons, the faint drip of espresso. Boxes of art prints lined the walls, ready to ship worldwide. Mia slapped an iPad onto the table. Analytics are insane, she said. If we ride this wave, you'll clear 7 figures by next year. Ella exhaled, equal parts elation and vertigo. Money meant security, but it also meant visibility, ripe terrain for enemy fire. Mia, speaking of enemies, your ex keeps subtweeting. Says he made you who you are. Wagwan with that? Ella, jaw tightening, I muted him. Mia, girl, we could post the screenshots. Expose him. The internet loves justice. Ella tapped the screen, scrolling through Mark's cryptic tweets. Some people forget who funded their first paintbrush. Narratives are profitable, even false ones. An ember of rage lit her chest. She imagined crafting a carousel post, hospital footage, the divorce papers, timestamps, the undeniable receipts. She pictured the comment section erupting, Mark's brand deals collapsing. Her thumb hovered over share. Across the loft, Zion squealed, gumless grin-wide as he bounced in his jumper. Ella's rage cooled into something softer, resolve. Ella, slowly, I won't waste brushstrokes on bitterness. Mia, you sure? Clapbacks trend. Ella, my story already glows, mud would dim it. She deleted the draft. That night, alone in her apartment, Ella brewed chamomile tea and opened a blank canvas. Instead of painting hurt, she painted quiet victory, a mother lifting her child toward a dawn sky, their silhouettes crowned by sunbeams. No mention of Mark, no shade. Just radiance. She posted the finished piece with a single line, may your victories speak louder than your villains. The internet roared approval, shares, stitches, duets of people crying happy tears. Celebrities reposted. Hashtag Quiet Victory trended across Africa, then the UK, then the States. Mark thrown into digital shadow, his tweets buried beneath fountains of positivity. Ella didn't gloat, she simply exhaled. Near midnight her phone pinged, Efua Mensa again. Efua, NPR Africa wants an interview about hashtag Quiet Victory. Interested? Ella, smiling at sleeping Zion, let's give them something bright. She closed her notebook on a hand-scrawled mantra, rise revenge. Then she slid into bed, arm curved protectively around Zion, heart loud but light, drumming a lullaby of calm power. The Monday morning after hashtag Quiet Victory trended, Ella pushed Zion's stroller through the glass doors of Impact Hub Yaba, a renovated warehouse humming with Lego's startup energy. Tablets beeped at turnstiles, ceiling fans sliced humid air, and the aroma of Kenyan roast coffee cut through the hum of entrepreneurs pitching dreams at rapid-fire speed. At a corner table towered Mia Anyura, braided bun, neon pink blazer, and the kind of grin that could force the sun to clock in for overtime. She waved wildly, sending 3 sticky notes fluttering from her laptop. Mia, arms wide Mama Picasso. Ella, laughing CEO Mia. Mia, peering into stroller and Prince Zion, the brand ambassador. Zion responded with a gummy squeal, kicking his feet at the rainbow lights reflecting off Mia's holographic phone case. They ordered oat milk lattes, Ella added vanilla for the indulgence she once denied herself, and unrolled blueprints of possibility across the tabletop. Sticky Note 1, e-commerce platform. Mia pulled up wireframes, clean, mobile-first, Afrocentric palette. We go live in 3 weeks. Built-in global shipping API, crypto payments, BNPL for Nigerian shoppers. Accessible art, big margins. Sticky Note 2, print-on-demand collaboration. Tote bags, phone cases, even Ankara print scarves overlaid with Ella's pieces. It's wearable resilience, Mia explained. People don't just want to see your art, they want to carry it into battle. Sticky Note 3, community workshops. A tiered plan, virtual Zoom paint-alongs for diaspora supporters, in-person sessions at orphanages across Lagos, with a cut of every print funding supplies. Ella's eyes misted. Teaching kids who were me 15 years ago? Yes. They hammered out roles, Mia would be COO/marketing maven, Ella the creative engine and public face. Zion kicked over a cappuccino stirrer, as if sealing the deal. Suddenly Ella's phone buzzed. Unknown UK number. Ella, answering cautiously hello? Voice, British accent, warm Ms. Nwosu, this is Yvette Benifo from Tate Modern London. We discovered your Phoenix soil via ArtShare Africa. Any chance you'd consider submitting to our Africa Rising exhibition? Deadline is tight. Ella's breath caught. Mia mouthed Tate? With cartoonish eyes. Ella, steadying, I'm honored. I'll make the deadline. Yvette, splendid. Looking forward. Click. Silence ballooned before both women erupted into a squeal that turned heads. Zion clapped tiny palms, delighted at the commotion. Mia, Moksalam, dear Lord, watch over our bank accounts, they're about to have culture shock. Ella, grinning, and watch over our sanity. They bumped fists, two college girls reborn as visionaries, unbothered by doubters, unstoppable as dawn. 3 weeks later, Ella's apartment had morphed into a mini fulfillment center. Cardboard tubes leaned like spears against the wall, stacks of courier labels blanketed the coffee table, and Zion napped amid pillow fortresses of bubble wrap. The e-commerce drop went live at noon. Mia insisted on streaming the launch with Afrobeat lo-fi looping in the background. Ella clicked publish and ding ding ding, orders poured in faster than notifications could sync. Within 90 seconds, every limited edition canvas print sold out. Within 10 minutes, the phone cases were gone. She and Mia stared at the screen, mouths agape, as the platform's live counter hit 47 million Nigerian nairas in revenue before lunch. Ella, voice shaking, is this real life? Mia, pinch me later, we've got shipping to do. They packed orders past midnight. Zion strapped Ella's chest in a woven carrier, lulled by the rustle of butcher paper and adhesive tape zipping shut. At 2 a.m. Ella finally collapsed onto the couch, scrolling through customer selfies. Women in hijabs holding Phoenix soil phone grips. An Abuja teenager grinning with a quiet victory tote at her side. Grandmothers in Nairobi painting along to Ella's YouTube tutorial. She pressed a palm to her sternum, feeling her heartbeat an incredulous tattoo. 2 months ago she'd been calculating diaper costs against unpaid electric bills. Now thousands of strangers were financing her son's future and wearing her resilience like armor. A ping jolted her, bank alert, settlement received. The figure glowed with 6 zeros. She whispered a shaky prayer of gratitude, tears catching in laughter that wouldn't stop. Zion stirred, eyes half open. Ella kissed his forehead. Your mommy's art feeds the world now, she murmured. And it feeds you, too. Outside, dawn's first pink slit the horizon. For the first time since Mark's betrayal, Ella welcomed sunrise with anticipation instead of dread. Ella chose Crown and Bean, a leafy coffee shop on Awolowo Way, for her first off-site mentoring session with a scholarship teen named Adiz. She arrived early, pushing Zion's stroller up the ramp, enjoying the soft clink of china and indie highlife floating from hidden speakers. Inside, she spotted Adiz, a shy 17-year-old with charcoal-smudged fingers, nervously adjusting her sketchpad. Ella waved, ordered passion fruit tea, and settled in. Ella, I've seen your graphite studies. Stellar contrast work. Adiz, blushing, you really looked? Ella, every line. They dove into composition tips, laughing over spilled cappuccino foam. Adiz's shoulders uncurled like petals opening to sun. Then the bell above the door jingled, and time slowed. Mark Adeyemi strode in, phone at his ear, designer watch winking beneath rolled shirt sleeves. He saw Ella. Words died on his lips. For a moment he looked unmoored, like a sailor spotting land he'd abandoned. Adiz's eyes widened. Is that? She whispered. Ella, quietly, meeting Mark's gaze, yes. But he's part of the background now. Mark pocketed his phone and approached, faltering when he noticed Zion's tiny sneakers dangling from the stroller. Mark, clearing throat. Ella. Can we talk? Ella, steady but polite, I'm in a mentorship session. Mark, 5 minutes? Ella, Adiz, excuse me a moment. They stepped toward the patio. Wind rustled jasmine vines, distant horns honked. Mark, voice low, eyes glistening, I've followed your success. I didn't know you had this in you. Ella, that's because you never looked. Mark, I regret. Ella, regret is a mirror, Mark. What matters is action, and you've shown none. He swallowed. Ella, I miss my son. A dagger twinge, but Ella's face remained calm. Zion will know love, stability, and truth. Earn those before you seek his time. She turned to leave. Mark, voice cracking please, I'm lost. Ella, soft but firm, then find yourself before you try to find us. She rejoined at ease. Mark stood motionless, eclipsed by his own shadow as passers-by glimpsed the exchange, whispering recognition. Inside, Adiz whispered, "You're a storm wearing pearls." Ella smiled sadly. "No, love, I'm the dawn after." News of the coffee shop confrontation spread within hours, TikTok clips from onlookers, tweets dissecting Mark's trembling stance versus Ella's poised dismissal. Hashtag storm wearing pearls trended by evening. But Ella stayed silent. No subtweets, no interviews. Instead she poured herself into Dawn After, a triptych of oil panels. 1. Panel 1, a lone woman kneeling in ruins beneath obsidian clouds. 2. Panel 2, same woman, standing amidst rubble, chin lifted. 3. Panel 3, woman bathed in sunrise gold, rubble transformed into blossoming vines. She posted a single silent reel, time-lapse of brushstrokes, Zion toddling across the dropcloth in the background. The reel's caption? Just the sunrise emoji. Within 24 hours, the piece sold for 25 million Nigerian nairas to a Ghanaian tech philanthropist who promised to loan it to the National Gallery in Abuja. Every major art blog covered the sale, praising Ella's wordless mastery of narrative catharsis. Mark, meanwhile, summoned a PR firm to salvage his image. They proposed a redemption arc, heartfelt medium post, charity donation, father-son photo op. Mark drafted a statement beginning with "I was young and under pressure," but the PR lead shook her head. "Your ex's silence is louder than any apology. Anything you say now looks like noise." For once, Mark had no comeback. A week later, Ella sat beneath blinding ring lights in Studio Lagoon FM, headphones over her locks, Zion sleeping with a nanny in the green room. Across from her loomed Kola Kokula Desina, host of Africa's #1 viral podcast Unfiltered Hustle. Kola, intro music fading fam, today we've got the artist Twitter calls Queen of Quiet Victory. Ms. Ella Nwosu, welcome. Ella, smiling, thank you for having me. They plunged into 90 minutes of raw conversation, childbirth abandonment, the magic of midnight live streams, painting while nursing, turning trauma into a revenue stream. Kola, some people say your silence toward your ex is strategic. Care to address? Ella, calm, some storms you fight, others you let die from lack of thunder. The studio fell silent, engineers' mouths agape. Kola exhaled, phew. Comments on the live chat thread shot skyward. Halfway through, Kola surprised her with a call-in from Efua Mensa. Efua, voice crackling through line. Ella, Tate Modern confirmed your piece made final cut. You're officially in the show. Ella, eyes filling. Efua, you're playing. Efua, girl, pack your passport. Kola jumped up, cheering. Sound engineers clanked coffee mugs like cymbals. The chat feed blistered with rocket rocket rocket. Ella pressed fingertips to her lips, tears sliding free. Kola, leaning into mic. Ladies and gents, witness history. From Heartbreak Hospital ward to the Tate Modern, this is why we hustle unfiltered. When the interview ended, Kola pulled her aside. Prepare, our episodes average 1 million views, yours will triple that. Ella hugged him, whispering, may it lift someone else. The episode went live at 6 p.m. By 11 p.m. it hit 3.2 million streams, trending #1 on YouTube and Spotify Nigeria. Viewers spliced her quotes into motivational reels, churches referenced her testimony in Sunday sermons, high school art teachers built curriculum around her work. Mark watched the interview alone in his minimalist penthouse. Ella's calm radiance filled the screen. His heart pounded with a cocktail of admiration and regret so potent it felt radioactive. He reached for his phone, thumb hovering over her contact, then set it down. Words would fail. Across town, in her modest flat, Ella rocked Zion to sleep while replaying voicemails from curators in Paris, Chicago, and Cape Town. Each request ended with the same line, your voice is needed. She whispered into Zion's curls, our voice, little king. Turning toward the easel, she sketched a rough outline of a mother and son boarding a plane, first-class seats morphing into wings. Tentative title, Anywhere We Choose. Outside, rain tapped the window, soft, approving applause. Ella smiled, heart at peace yet pulsing with horizon-bound velocity. The Lagos Island High Court smelled of varnished wood and stale air conditioning. Overhead fans clicked like distant metronomes, each tick counting down to battle. Ella sat at the plaintiff's table beside her attorney, Barrister Kachi Okoro, a petite woman in cobalt robes whose reputation for surgical cross-examinations preceded her. Across the aisle towered Mark Adeyemi, flanked by two silk-tie lawyers. His eyes avoided Ella's. The suit was impeccable, but the tremor in his knee betrayed him. Judge Alade, we are here for Adeyemi versus Nwosu, a claim of defamation and unlawful monetization of likeness. Is the plaintiff ready? Mark's lead counsel, ready, my lord. Judge, defense? Kachi, more than ready, my lord. Mark's team argued first. Ella's paintings and podcast interviews had commercialized a private narrative, portraying Mark as a villain, costing him contracts. They sought 100 million Nigerian nairas in damages and injunctions banning any further exploitation. Kachi rose with a smile sharp enough to shave glass. She projected an enlarged screenshot on the courtroom screen, Mark's own tweets boasting he'd funded her first paintbrush. Kachi, addressing court, your lordship, the claimant wasn't defamed, he defamed himself, publicly, repeatedly, and proudly. My client painted her truth, an expression protected by the Constitution. Then she played a clip from Unfiltered Hustle, Ella's quote, some storms you fight, others you let die from lack of thunder. No names, no direct accusations. The gallery audience leaned in. Thunder, indeed, seemed absent. Judge, to Mark, Mr. Adeyemi, did you post these tweets? Mark, voice cracking, yes, my lord. Judge, and did you sign these divorce papers delivered to Ms. Nwosu in hospital? Mark, swallowing, yes. Kachi called Efua Mensah as a witness. Efua, every bit the charismatic curator, testified that collectors purchased Ella's work for artistic brilliance and emotional resonance, not tabloid drama. Kachi's final flourish, a folder of 12,000 digital signatures, Ella's followers pledging to crowdfund her legal defense. She dropped it on the evidence table with a satisfying thunk. Kachi, softly, your lordship, public opinion isn't law, but it demonstrates the power of honest storytelling. Truth echoes. Judge Alade requested recess, then returned with swift judgment, case dismissed with prejudice, legal fees charged to the plaintiff. Mark's shoulders collapsed. Ella exhaled a breath she'd been holding since Ward 3B. Outside, reporters swarmed. Ella held Zion close, raised a hand for silence, and said only, let truth paint its own canvas. The crowd erupted in applause. 2 months later, Ella's first solo exhibition, Constellations of Survival, opened at the ultra-modern Amina Arts Pavilion. Spotlights crisscrossed white walls bearing 30 canvases, each a universe forged from pain into starlight. Celebrities mingled with school teachers, influencers live-streamed, critics craned necks. Ella, wrapped in a silk organza jumpsuit the color of sunrise, balanced Zion on her hip while greeting patrons. A hush rippled when the doors parted and Mark entered, alone, no entourage this time. He looked smaller beneath the gallery's soaring skylights. Security glanced at Ella. She gave a nod, let him in. Mark stopped before Shattered Not Shamed, the canvas depicting hospital bedsheets morphing into wings. Tears pooled in his eyes. Mark, voice hoarse, I came to understand what I couldn't see. Ella, steady art is translation for hearts that lack the language. Mark, I was cruel. Ambition blinded me. Ella, blindness is forgivable. Abandonment is not. He dabbed his eyes. I don't expect forgiveness. Just, someday, a chance to earn a place in Zion's story. Ella's gaze softened, still steel beneath velvet. You'll have to paint that chapter yourself. My canvas is full. A photographer's flash burst. Mark stepped back, shaking. Then, quietly, he left, no dramatic exit, only the slow shuffle of a man stripped of illusions. Mia appeared, eyes wide. "You okay?" Ella, exhaling yes. "It's the final brushstroke." She turned toward the crowd gathering by her latest piece, a 10-foot triptych named We Are Galaxy. She lifted a microphone. "Ella, a dressing room, thank you for believing a mother's story could hold stars. Tonight, every sale funds our new foundation, Galaxy Mothers, supplying art therapy grants for single parents across Africa." Applause thundered, drowning lingering ghosts. Ella unlocked the door of her sun-washed bungalow on the outskirts of Victoria Garden City. Mango trees bowed over a cobblestone path, ocean breeze carried distant gull cries. Zion toddled across the threshold, squealing at empty rooms awaiting furniture. Paint cans lined the hallway. Each lid bore a handwritten label. 1. Courage Yellow, Living Room. 2. Freedom Teal, Studio. 3. Gentle Midnight, Zion's nursery ceiling, dotted with glow-in-the-dark stars. Mia arrived with pizza and a Bluetooth speaker blasting Burna Boy. They rolled tarps, popped paint lids, laughed through splatters. Mia, dancing with Roller to Leveling Up. Ella, slinging teal across the wall to Never Leveling Alone Again. At sunset, they collapsed on the bare floor, slices of suya pizza in greasy hands, Zion asleep on a pile of throw pillows. Ella unfurled architectural sketches of Galaxy Mothers HQ, classrooms surrounding a central atrium filled with skylights and hanging gardens. "We break ground next March," she said, voice hushed with awe. Mia raised an imaginary glass. They toasted with pizza crusts. Later, alone, Ella stood on the porch. Fireflies blinked across the yard. She whispered a private litany, thank you for nights that turn into homes, for betrayal that births purpose, for small hands that guide mine. Behind her, Zion stirred, murmuring Mama. She scooped him up, heart thundering with a quiet promise, I will guard our dawn. The breeze carried her vow into starlit silence. 6 fragrant months later, Galaxy Mothers opened its doors. Sunlight spilled through circular skylights, dappling walls where Ella's murals bloomed, figures rising from cracked earth, eyes luminescent with hope. Grand opening day teamed with cameras, city officials, and families clutching free art kits. Ella guided a group of wide-eyed kids into Studio One. Ella, kneeling today, these brushes are magic wands. They turn feelings into colors. A tiny girl with vitiligo traced her hand in turquoise paint and pressed it to canvas, giggling. A teenage boy who'd lost both parents to malaria sketched lightning bolts of gold. Grief alchemized into pigment before Ella's eyes. In the courtyard, Mia hosted a panel on sustainable e-commerce for single parents. FUA unveiled a scholarship fund for rising artists. Adiz, now first-year fine arts student, taught shading techniques to a throng of admirers. Ella slipped into the nursery where Zion, now 18 months, teetered beside a low window. She reached out, but he steadied himself and took 2 wobbly steps toward her, then 3, then 4. Ella, tears bursting, voice catching, you're walking. Employees cheered. Phones captured the moment, a mother hugging her toddling son amid the building she dreamed into existence. The clip hit social media, brands reposted, parents wept, journalists dubbed it the step that echoed. That night, after guests departed and balloons sagged, Ella wrote a blog post titled Legacy is a First Step. She ended with, each stride our children take stands on the ground we dared to build. Within hours, translations bloomed in French, Swahili, and Mandarin. Across town, Mark watched the viral clip. A smile, small but genuine, softened his face. For once, envy didn't bite, admiration did. He opened an email draft to Ella, I donated 5 million Nigerian nairas anonymously to Galaxy Mothers. No strings. Just proud. He hit send, closed his laptop, and exhaled like a man setting down centuries of weight. On the eve of flying to London for the Tate Modern opening, Ella scheduled a final live stream from her new studio, walls plastered with packing lists and Zion's crayon galaxies. Ring lights warmed. Cameras rolled. Viewers logged in from 5 continents, notifications buzzing like cicadas. Ella, smiling into lens 2 years ago. Tonight I lay in a maternity ward holding divorce papers. Tonight, I pack for the Tate. Life is wild. She gestured to Zion, seated beside her with finger paint stains. My co-creator wants to show you his masterpiece. Zion held up a neon swirl, pink, gold, and a chaotic splash of teal. Chat exploded in red heart, red heart, red heart. Ella, I've learned storms don't end you, they sculpt you. And every scar holds ink for a new story. So, to everyone nursing heartbreak, repeat after me, I am stronger than I know, and every storm I survive only adds to my fire. She paused. Thousands typed the mantra in real time. Screens pulsed like constellations. Ella, that's our final word tonight. Keep painting your sky. Good night, family. She ended the stream, silence settling like soft dust. Mia burst in, waving flight itineraries. We're confirmed, first-class upgrades. Zion toddled to Ella, outstretched hands sticky with finger paint. She lifted him, breathing in coconut oil curls. Mia, grinning ready to conquer London? Ella, kissing Zion's cheek. London, Paris, the moon, anywhere we choose. They stepped onto the balcony. Lagos night skyline shimmered, traffic tracer lights dancing like fireflies. Ella imagined the same sky above every follower who'd carried her story, people she might never meet, yet whose hearts beat in rhythm with her own. She whispered skyward, "Thank you." No other words felt adequate. Inside, her phone pinged, a text from Mama Adeyemi, "We are all watching. Fly high, daughter." Ella smiled, replying with a single sunrise emoji. She turned, switched off studio lights, and carried Zion to bed. Tomorrow, wings of metal would lift them across oceans. But tonight, her heart had already landed in every soul her art had healed. Ella laid Zion down, humming the Igbo lullaby that once soothed her through blackout nights. His eyelids fluttered shut. She lingered, watching his chest rise and fall. The camera of imagination pulled back, past the bungalow, the city, the continent, revealing a trail of luminous canvases stretching behind her like stepping stones of light, each one proof that broken things can build whole worlds. Fade out. The end.